Universal Casualty, Super Q,
los Miami Dolphins y tú, rumbo al Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Son los Dolphins, nuestros Miami Dolphins, el team número 1 en toda la nación. Y son ellos orgullo de Miami y de todos los latinos en la capital del sol. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Este año no me hablen de los Redskins, no me hablen de los Chargers, ni de los Dallas Cowboys, porque los Dolphins son número 1 y lo demostrarán al llegar al Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Nuestra línea está mejor que nunca y nuestra defensiva fue siempre la mejor. Y es por eso que yo no tengo duda que los Miami Dolphins ganarán el Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, con los Miami Dolphins, rumbo al Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins me voy para el Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins me voy para el Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins me voy para el Super Bowl. Con los Miami Dolphins me voy para el Super Bowl.
Universal Casualty
Y Super Q, los primeros. Bueno, caballeros, todo el mundo que cante con nosotros. Dame una D, dame una O, dame una L, dame una P, una H, una I, una N, una S. ¿Qué es lo que tenemos? Miami Dolphins. Me voy para el Super Bowl. 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 Me voy para el Super Bowl.
You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network.
There's a team that's in our heart.
Hello, Miami Dolphin fans, and welcome to the Same Old Dolphins Show, sponsored by BetUS, part of the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. I'm Josh Kotzker. With me today and every day is my brother from the exact same mother, Aaron the Brain. Aaron, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
Brain, here we are in person.
Again.
I
can't believe we did this.
This is
twice
unbelievable.
in like a month.
We're coming to you live from Tampa, Florida. We are together here. Family reunion we're attending this weekend. We just went to the first event a little bit earlier this evening, and it went very well. We were very well fed, which is kind of a theme at our family reunions or any family function, really, in our family. So that's certainly good, right?
Oh, definitely. And as well fed as we are, I'm sitting here and I'm looking, and there's directly in my vision, there is this Publix glazed chocolate cake.
Yep.
And I don't know.
Good stuff.
I'm ready for dessert. But, we got to get through the main course first.
That's
right.
That's
talking about this football game.
That's right. We got to talk about the Miami Dolphins first. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns, which is the big game coming up this weekend. We're very excited about it. An opportunity for the Dolphins to go 7-3 as they head into their bye week, if you can believe it. If things break just right for the Dolphins this week, I think there's a world where they end up on top of the AFC this week. Is that right?
Is that right? I mean, I guess if we win, Buffalo loses, and the Jets lose,
and the Chiefs lose too, and
the
Titans. I mean, it's a lot of dominoes need to fall.
And it's not that it really matters.
No, it really doesn't. But it's just kind of exciting to sit here and think, hey, this is where the Dolphins might find themselves at this point in time. So pretty exciting times for the Miami Dolphins, and especially with Jacoby Brissett and the Cleveland Browns coming to town. So opportunity for the Dolphins to get some things done this weekend. So we're going to be talking about that game here on the show today. But before we do that, a reminder, if you're not doing so already, make sure you are following us on Twitter. I am at Amplified to Rock. He is at Aaron the Brain. That's at Aaron the Brain. The show is, of course, at Same Old Dolphins. And you can download, rate, review, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, anywhere that you get your podcasts. And we invite you to subscribe to the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. If you're watching live on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, hello, thank you. We appreciate you very much. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you're notified every single time we go live. We appreciate that. We were talking to our cousin earlier today and found out that he is somebody who is watching almost every episode of the show on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. So shout out to our cousin, Adam. We see you. We hear you. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. And you should all be like Adam and watch every episode on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. Of course, if you're listening to us in podcast form, we appreciate you just as much. So thank you very much. Leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a review. We appreciate it very much. And of course, make sure you're visiting DolphinsTalk.com each and every day. Your one-stop shop for all things Miami Dolphins. Brain.
Yes.
The Miami Dolphins host the Cleveland Browns. The Dolphins are sitting here with a 6-3 record.
Yeah.
The Browns come in at 3-5. And the Dolphins, just at first glance, you look at this game and you go, and the Dolphins should win it and go to 7-3, and they should be sitting pretty. But I think the Browns are not quite as bad as what their record might indicate. And I also think that the Browns are now playing in a little bit of desperation mode as they come into this game, right?
Yep.
Because we always knew that the first 11 weeks of this season, the first 11 games of this season for the Browns was going to be about first 10 games, first 11 weeks was going to be about, let's just tread water and get us to the place that when our new starting quarterback comes in, starting in week 12, that we will be ready to
actually
compete.
week 13, because I think it's 11 games that he's suspended.
Okay, so 11 games. So he comes back week 13.
Yeah.
When he comes back, this team wants to be in contention to make that run into the playoffs and beyond.
Right.
And they believe that they will be able to do that as long as they've tread enough water. Problem is they're sitting right now at 3-5, correct? And they've got a tough few games coming up with the Dolphins and Buffalo. And so this becomes a kind of something of a must-win game because they don't want to find themselves with any more than 6 losses when they get their starting quarterback back. So they're going to be playing with a little bit of desperation. They're also coming into this game off of a bye.
Right.
And the Dolphins are coming into this game looking forward to a bye. So to me, that is a situation ripe for this to be a banana skin kind of game for the Dolphins and for them to slip up and maybe drop a game that they shouldn't. So let's take a look at this game first and foremost when the Browns have the ball, because this is, I think, the area that we're going to be concerned about. Dolphins have struggled on the defensive side of the ball recently. And we've seen that Jacoby Brissett can, develop a connection with Amari Cooper. Big break for the Dolphins in this game because the Browns are not going to have David Njoku. He's been ruled out. So the tight end, who is probably Brissett's favorite target on the team, is not going to be available. However, they are still going to have Amari Cooper. They are still going to have Donovan Peoples-Jones. They are still going to have Bell, the receiver that they've got, the rookie wide receiver. So this is a Browns team that's going to come in with weapons in the passing game. But on top of that, we know that the real strength of this team is their running game. And they've got quite a combination of running backs with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And the Dolphins are going to have their hands full. We know that the Dolphins have been gashed by Justin Fields just last week. And we know that Lamar Jackson had a lot of success against the Dolphins on the ground. But when it comes to traditional straight-up running games with running backs, the Dolphins have fared pretty well. So how do you expect this game to go from a Dolphins perspective on the defensive side of the ball when the Browns, as we know they want to do, try to work that running game into dominating the Dolphins?
Well, the defense has to step up. They've got to get the job done. Look, you went out, you made the trade for Bradley Chubb. You've got to feel outstanding about your front four, your rotation of defensive linemen, your rotation of edge rushers. You've got to be able to stop the run. The Dolphins have done a good job against traditional running games this season, but also this is probably the best one that we've seen. I mean, from an efficiency standpoint, I think that Detroit was better. And Detroit did give Miami a little bit of an issue early in that game. But I think Cleveland is more of a team that will not just get the job done from an efficiency standpoint, but they're also going to do it with volume. They're going to stay committed to the run until you force them out of it. And so it is imperative for the Dolphins defense to set the tone early in this game and not allow the Browns to really get that rhythm going. And that's easier said than done because, a lot of what the Dolphins have thrived at defensively really comes down to blitzing and putting pressure on the quarterback. And the Browns, what's tricky about the Browns is that typically when you see a team that runs as well as they do and stays as committed to the run as they do, you don't see quite this as much balance, but they've actually been a really well-balanced offense. They throw the ball pretty well. Jacoby Brissett's been pretty efficient.
I think he's been a lot. He's been very efficient. I also think he's just been a lot better than anybody expected.
Yeah, and what it goes to show you is that Jacoby Brissett, one reason why Dolphin fans were excited that Jacoby Brissett was going to be the backup quarterback last year is because he had success as a backup quarterback for the Patriots. He had success when he was with the Colts. Not a ton of success, but he was at least solid. And the reason that he was solid is because he had a running game. And he wasn't being tasked to drop back 30 to 40 times, have no protection from his offensive line. This is an offense that is built actually really well for a quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, a game manager who probably holds on to the ball a little bit too long, because the fact that they're going to run the ball means it's going to slow down that edge rush, and they do have a really good offensive line. So they're not the easiest team to just pin your ears back and go after the quarterback. But the way that you can do that is if you stop the run, particularly early in downs, because the Browns, I think, more than any other team in the league, run the ball on first down. So stop the run on first down, set the tone, make them play in poor down and distance, and then you can put yourself in position to pin your ears back and really cause some problems in blitzing Jacoby Brissett, because he's not good against the blitz. And then we'll get to the offensive side of the ball, but complementary football, the other way of getting the Browns out of what they want to do offensively, is make them play from behind, make them play with a 2 or 3 score deficit, and then really be able to pour it on. Make them have to beat you with Jacoby Brissett, because I don't think that they can do it. But if they can run the ball and they do hang around in this game, they are dangerous. The lasting impression right now of the Cleveland Browns, the last time they took the field, they absolutely dominated the Cincinnati Bengals. And now they've had a week off, and they've had 2 weeks to prepare for not just what the Dolphins are going to do offensively, but for what the Dolphins are going to do defensively, and really put a game plan together. So, yeah, it's great that the Dolphins are coming back home. They've played much better at home, particularly defensively, but this is a real test for them. The Browns are not a pushover.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think another thing that the Dolphins are going to have problems with is something that they had problems with against Buffalo. One of the things that Buffalo did really efficiently against them was Josh Allen was just dumping the ball off to Devin Singletary all day long, right? All day long, dumping the ball off. And I think that is something that we would expect to see the Browns do, whether it's Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. Jacoby Brissett has no problem dumping the ball off to his running back if the Dolphins have coverage downfield. So is that something that the Dolphins will be equipped to deal with? Because that's also something that they've struggled with in the past.
If I'm the Browns, I know the Dolphins have had a lot of injuries in their secondary, but the Browns' weapons on the outside are not really so dynamic that I think that they have an advantage, let alone a distinct advantage in that area. The one place where I think the Browns have an advantage is the Dolphins linebackers. Now, the Dolphins got a huge break in David Njoku being out for this game, because that takes a lot of pressure away from their linebackers. It also takes a lot of pressure away from Eric Rowe and the Dolphins defense in general, who are trying to match up and stop opposing tight ends now. And now that they've lost Brandon Jones, that's kind of an ongoing theme. But I think this is another test, because Brandon Jones was really the Dolphins' best tackler, particularly in the open field, particularly on those shallow routes. The Dolphins have shown a propensity to miss a lot of tackles when guys catch the ball in the middle of the field. And the guy that was their most sure tackler, Brandon Jones, him not being there, if I'm the Browns, I'm trying to get the ball to Kareem Hunt in space. And I'm trying to get Kareem Hunt matched up against Jerome Baker and against Landon Roberts, and maybe even against Duke Riley. Now, I'll say this. Duke Riley has played his ass off this season. And
it's a good swear.
Duke Riley needs to be on the field more, particularly if Jerome Baker is going to struggle. Mm-hmm. Jerome Baker needs to have a big game. He needs to step up, because he's being paid to be the team's leading linebacker. Mm-hmm. And he's really been almost invisible all year long. He's not making any splash plays, and he makes enough negative plays that he's almost a net negative, and you're paying him to be, at the very least, an above average, if not a good, solid linebacker. And right now, I don't know that he's that, and that's kind of what's missing. I know the injuries on the back end are something that is very real, and it's obviously impacting this defense, but there's enough talent back there. X is still there. Honestly, Kader Kohu has played pretty well
Yeah.
All things, because you still got Javon Holland back there. The issue right now, more than anything else, is the linebackers.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get all that in check. Is this a game? He's not really a linebacker per se, but is this a game where we finally see some impact from Bradley Chubb?
Well, I think if the Dolphins, he should have some impact in this game, because he had a couple of plays in the Bears game where he had pressures where first off, he had a missed sack on Justin Fields, but he also had a couple of other pressures where if he's not going up against a mobile quarterback, that might be a sack, or it might at the very least be a quarterback hit, and him adjusting that play, or stopping that play from being a 15-yard Justin Fields scramble. So there should be opportunities. Granted, they are playing a better offensive line, and again, the Browns' ability to run the ball is what's going to slow down the Dolphins' edge rushers. So if the Dolphins can slow down the Browns rushing attack, and they can play with a lead and then can make the Browns one-dimensional, then they should have a field day. But it's a huge if.
Yeah.
So it's a big test. But the truth is, he should have a big impact. They're paying him to have a big impact. They traded away enough for him to have. They didn't get Bradley Chubb on this team for him to make a marginal impact. So he needs to have a big impact pretty much every game. Otherwise, it's going to be disappointing.
Well, then let's hope that this is the game on Sunday where Bradley Chubb makes his presence felt. Brain, we're going to talk about what the Dolphins need to do when they are on offense in just a moment. But first, we got to talk about our friends over at True Classic. Brain, I was wearing my True Classic t-shirt earlier today before I got changed into the button down to go to the family reunion event. But I have my you wearing a True Classic?
I'm wearing a True Classic.
Got your True Classic? I thought maybe you were.
It is fitting me nice on my chubby body, and I'm feeling comfortable. And my wife likes the way it looks on me, so I'm feeling good.
I feel like you look like I feel like you look a lot more handsome, and I was wondering why you looked more handsome today than you did yesterday. And it's not the fact that I was seeing you at 3:00 in the morning when my plane got in. It's that you're wearing the True Classic. That's why you're so much more handsome.
Well, first off, thank you.
You're welcome.
And secondly, you might be watching this and you might be thinking, well, yeah, he looks so much more handsome because he got his hair cut and he trimmed his beard. But that's actually an optical illusion. I actually didn't get my hair cut, nor did I trim my beard. It's all the True Classic.
True Classic makes you look good.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't stop you from mispronouncing words.
But that's okay, because you look good and you feel good, and you can look good and feel good too. All you got to do is go to trueclassic.com, use the promo code Dolphins Talk. You'll save 25% off of your order. And if your order goes over $100, you get free shipping as well. So, and I think there's a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. So you get your money back if you're not happy with the product within 30 days. So that's a good thing to do too. So go to trueclassicsingular.com/Dolphins Talk, or you can enter the promo code Dolphins Talk. If you just go to trueclassic.com, get yourself some t-shirts, some fleece, some chinos, some sweatshirts, some undergarments. Just do it. They got it all over there. Trueclassic.com. I can vouch for their products. They're awesome products. I've been a fan of theirs since before they sponsored the show. So head over to trueclassic.com, use the promo code Dolphins Talk, and save 25% off your order. Brain. Offense. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cleveland Browns are currently number 30 in the entire National Football League in defensive DVOA against the run, which bodes very well for the Miami Dolphins rushing attack that has now really developed a two-headed monster running attack. We saw Jeff Wilson Jr. come into the Miami Dolphins last week, and on less than a full week, he immediately jumped in and started making plays for this offense. And in addition to that, we also had Raheem Mostert making plays on offense for the Dolphins. Is this a game where the Dolphins can just completely take control of the game just by running the ball? And maybe they're not even really going to have to rely that much on Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle in this one.
Well, number one, I don't think that the Dolphins should come into any game this season with the expectation that their offense is going to be fueled by their ground game, because it's just not their identity at this point. They're not built for it. They don't have the tight end on the edge that can block. Their offensive line is still kind of putting things together. They have not shown that they can run with any kind of consistency. And secondly, they have Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. So we saw last week that even in a game where the Dolphins were having success running the football, they got themselves into trouble when they went away from passing the ball. They're good at passing the ball. This offense, you could say whatever you want about Mike McDaniel wants to run the ball, and I want this team to be able to run the ball. And you might even argue that for this team to get where eventually they need to be to win the Super Bowl or contend for a Super Bowl, that they need to be able to run the football. But right now, they're not there yet. So you have to be able to rely first and foremost on what you're good at, and that's throwing the football. Now,
say that again. The Dolphins are good at throwing the football.
The Dolphins are good at throwing the football. And that in itself is a massive victory.
Yeah.
It's a massive victory this season compared to what we've seen for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
But still, this team right now, you want to see them have balance, and you want to see them continue to improve in that area, but you don't want to see them go into a game and try to rely on running the football because their opponent is bad at defending the run, so much so that they get away from what works. You've got to do what you do best until the opposing team stops it. And then you can, come up with another option. But don't beat yourself by trying to become the smartest guy in the room and try to do something that isn't your best, feature or asset.
Right.
The Browns are bad against the run. But you know what? You know who else was bad against the run? The Chicago Bears.
It's true.
The Chicago Bears are 28th in defensive DVOA against the run. And I think they were probably worse than that. I think they were worst in the league going into the game last week. And the Dolphins had some success running the football, but down the stretch, when they wanted to run the football to run out the clock and really put that game away, they weren't able to do it. So do I think that this is a game where the Dolphins are going to be able to just go in there and pound the rock and run the ball 50 times to win the game? Sure, if the defense goes out and puts up points and they get special teams touchdown and they end up and jumping all over them and they're up by 20 points in the second half, sure, then maybe it's that kind of game. But I don't think that should be the expectation. I don't think that should be the game plan. I think you want to come in and you want to stay committed to having balance, but don't lose sight of what you do well, and that is throwing the football.
Yeah, the Dolphins do throw the football well, but the Browns have a sneaky good secondary back there, Brain. So how do you feel the Browns are going to match up against these disgusting receivers that the Miami Dolphins have? Oh, and by the way, a pretty darn good quarterback as well.
It almost doesn't matter who you have defensively right now.
Wait, hold on. What are the names of the cornerbacks?
They've got
It doesn't matter what their names are.
That was a terrible Rock impersonation, but I mean,
it wasn't about the impersonation. It was the joke.
The joke was good. The everything was there except for the actual impersonation.
But listen, I'm not Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I pulled out a Dwayne The Rock Johnson impersonation at your wedding.
You did in your speech. But that's neither here nor there.
But I think it almost doesn't matter because there's no secondary in the league that is built to handle what the Dolphins receivers are, like to handle Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle without having two safeties deep, at least two safeties deep. And in many, well, not necessarily two safeties deep, but playing at least 2 deep or 3 deep coverage, because you can play with a cover 1 or with 1 safety deep, and then your corners can play the bail technique, and technically you're playing cover 3. But you're not going to just see a single high safety out there and them locking up the Dolphins receivers man to man. It's just not going to happen, because nobody is going to be able to man up Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So you're going to see a lot of 2 deep, 3 deep quarters coverage. And so also by being able to run the ball, you're going to suck those linebackers up, and you're going to have all that space in the middle of the field. So those crossing patterns that we've seen all season long with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, they're going to be there. And then when the safeties creep up, that's when you got to take your shots. It's very elementary when you have this type of talent. It almost doesn't matter who the opposing defense has. It really just comes down to execution. It comes down to protecting the passer, comes down to making the right decision. I do think that the Browns have enough players in the secondary to where it's not going to be easy necessarily. It's not going to be like when we played the Steelers and when we played the Lions and the Bears the last few weeks, where guys are running wide open in the middle of the field. But there's going to be plenty of opportunities as long as Tua is sharp, as long as there's good pass protection. The Dolphins should be able to move the football. It's just they just need to be consistent. They just need to not make the mistakes, the mental errors, the pre-snap penalties, the blown assignments from the offensive line, missed passes, drop passes. They just got to avoid that. If they stay sharp, their offense should be able to put up points against this Browns defense. And really, they should be able to put up points against just about any defense.
They really should. And they certainly have shown, at least in the last 2 weeks, that they can. Of course, against the Lions and the Bears isn't just against any defense, but Browns are going to be a step up in competition in that regard. So we'll see whether or not they're able to do that. Brain, it's time to make some score predictions. But before we do that, we need to tell everybody to visit manscaped.com and get themselves the best below the waist grooming products out there. So you get the clippers, you get the liquid formulations, you get the lip balm, you get your cologne, all kinds of good stuff over there at manscaped.com. You get the Performance Package 4.0. You also get the boxers, you get the bag to put everything in. It's all kinds of good stuff over there at manscaped.com. So if you go to manscaped.com and you use the promo code Dolphins Talk, you're going to get 20% off of your order, and you're going to get free shipping worldwide. So set yourself up. Go to manscaped.com. It makes a great present. So if you're listening to this and you think of somebody that you know that might appreciate some Manscaped products, or some True Classic products for that matter, head on over to manscaped.com, use the promo code Dolphins Talk, save 20% off your order, get free shipping. Then go to trueclassic.com, put in the promo code Dolphins Talk, save 25% off of your order. It's going to be good stuff. They're going to be well dressed, and they're going to be well groomed, and everybody's going to be happy about it. So your balls will thank you. Their balls will thank you. And, anybody who's looking at you in your True Classic t-shirt is going to thank you. So set yourself up.
True Classic above the waist, Manscaped below it.
Put that on a t-shirt, baby. Put that on a t-shirt. All right. Prediction time. We're going to have some exclusive predictions from members of our family. 2 members of our family shared score predictions with us at the reunion tonight. Our cousin Ruben says that he believes that the Dolphins win this game 30-21. And our cousin Harmon said that he believes the Dolphins are going to win this game 27-21. Brain, single digits. Are the Dolphins going to win this by single digits? Are they going to win this at all? What are your thoughts?
I'm nervous about this game. If this wasn't a home game, I'd be very, very, very nervous. Even with the Dolphins coming home, I'm nervous. Yeah, the offense has looked good the last 2 weeks. They've also played 2 really bad defenses the last 2 weeks, and they've almost lost both of those games.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yes, and if you keep playing games where you almost lose, eventually you will lose. because you're going to play with fire and eventually you're going to get burned. And that's what worries me. And you mentioned it. This Browns team is a desperate team who also happens to be coming off of their best game of the season and a bye week. And is coming in with, I think, more confidence than a lot of people realize. And I don't think the Browns are going to come in and be intimidated by the Dolphins. I think that the Dolphins are going to need to be sharp. If they come into this game and they sleepwalk at the beginning of the game like they did against Detroit, they're going to put themselves in a really bad spot. And I think Cleveland is a much better roster, top to bottom, than that Lions roster was.
I agree with that.
And I think that you could find yourself playing in an uphill battle. I think the Dolphins have enough firepower on offense that they're going to put up points. I just don't trust this defense. And if you get yourself into a close game and the Browns are able to establish that run early and often in this game, by the time you get into the fourth quarter, it's a recipe potentially for disaster. I believe the Dolphins are the better team and should win this football game. What we haven't seen from the Dolphins is when they've played an inferior team, we haven't seen them jump on them, stay on them, put the game away, and not let this thing get interesting and not have a sweat down the stretch. I'd like to see the Dolphins really be able to put an inferior opponent away, because I think if you keep playing with fire, you're going to get burned. I think this is going to be a close game. I'm very nervous about it. I still think the Dolphins are going to find a way to pull it out, because at the end of the day, I trust Tua right now more than I trust Jacoby Brissett. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be a nail biter, and I'm picking the Dolphins to win this one 31-27.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brain. It's been a long time. People watching the Miami Dolphins this season and going, when are they going to just put their foot on the throat of an opponent and blow them out?
Yeah. When's it going to happen?
That's what everybody wants to know. And my answer is that it's coming on Sunday. It's coming on Sunday. I'm feeling kind of Sunday. Indianapolis Colts are feeling kind of Saturday. The Miami Dolphins are feeling kind of Sunday. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to say it. Are you ready? Our Chubb is bigger and better than their Chubb. And our Miami Dolphins are going to go wild on Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. We're going to get Tua Tagovailoa throwing for 327 yards, throwing for 4 touchdowns, add a rushing touchdown from Raheem Mostert, add a rushing touchdown from Jeff Wilson. Yes, I said it. Even at a field goal from Jason Sanders, your Miami Dolphins are defeating the Cleveland Browns 45-12. Book it.
That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Yeah.
Show was going so well till you started singing.
I think it just got better. What do you think?
We got to do more of these in person. It's just like there's just a little bit of extra special energy. You get wrestling references. You get Aaron singing songs, feeling easy like Sunday morning.
Look at that chocolate cake over there.
I see that chocolate cake. I think that's what's firing me up. I think most of all. I mean, I'm fired up about this Dolphins game. Very fired up at the chocolate. Why don't you go get it? Let's show the chocolate cake to the people. Should we show it to the people? Okay, he's going. Here, folks. Just Publix. Publix makes this cake, okay? You guys, this is the best cake. It's classic material here. For those of you who are listening on podcast form, you're not going to get to see this, but look at that cake. Look at that monstrosity. It is fantastic. It's just beautiful, beautiful chocolate cake, and we're going to dive into it right after this show goes off the air. So if you're listening to podcast form, you got to go to the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. You got to like this video. Go ahead and smash that like button, by the way. Everybody who's watching this video right now, go ahead and do it. Do us that favor. We appreciate it very much. But yeah, if you're listening to podcast, go to Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Amplified to Rock, at Aaron the Brain. The show is at Same Old Dolphins. Download, rate, review, subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us a review. Visit dolphinstalk.com. Get yourself some Manscaped. Get yourself some True Classic. Use the promo code Dolphins Talk. Brain, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I'm just so ready to dig in to this chocolate cake.
He's easy like Sunday morning, but he's hungry like Friday evening.
It's true.
It's true. It's damn true.
It's true.
All right. Well, then that's going to wrap us up for this episode of the Same Old Dolphin Show. We will be back early next week to recap the game against the Browns, and then we'll be back later in the week for a special DolphinsTalk.com staff roundtable with Mike Oliva, Tom Ernestine, Big E, Ian Berger, who we saw in the comments here watching live. So catch us there as we go into the bye week and get ready for a little bit of a well-earned break. And hopefully the Dolphins go into that break with a well-earned 7-3 record. In the meantime, enjoy the game on Sunday. Take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, go Dolphins!